Think about the extraordinary journey of this vegetable. It began as a toxic wild plant in the frozen heights of the Andes. Ancient farmers carefully transformed it into a reliable source of food. They developed thousands of varieties, and they created ways to preserve potatoes for years. The Spanish carried the potato across the Atlantic. Europeans rejected it, they feared it, and for generations they fed it mainly to animals. But eventually the potato transformed Europe. Frederick understood that the potato was an extraordinary crop. It grew quickly, it could survive in poor soil, and it produced more calories per acre than wheat. In 1774, Frederick issued a royal order. His people were told to grow potatoes, but many farmers refused. They did not trust the strange new crop, so Frederick tried a clever psychological trick. He planted potatoes in a royal field, then he ordered his guards to protect it. The guards were told not to watch the field too carefully. The farmers assumed that anything protected by the king must be extremely valuable. They began stealing the potatoes at night. Then they planted them in their own fields. In France, a scientist named Antoine-Augustin also promoted the potato. He convinced Queen Marie Antoinette to wear potato flowers in her hair. Suddenly, the potato was no longer disgusting. It was fashionable. Once Europe overcame its fear, potato farming spread rapidly across the continent. The results were dramatic. Potatoes were rich in vitamin C, potassium, complex carbohydrates, and calories. Ordinary families had access to a more reliable source of nutrition. Health improved, infant mortality declined, and Europe's population grew rapidly. The potato helped provide the energy needed for industrialization. It fed factory workers, it supported growing cities, and it supplied the enormous armies of Europe. But nowhere was the potato more important than in Ireland. Under British rule, many Irish Catholics lost control of their land. They were forced to work as tenant farmers. Families often survived on tiny and rocky plots. The potato was one of the few crops that could produce enough food on so little land. By the 1840s, more than half of Ireland's population depended heavily on potatoes. Many families relied on a single variety, the Irish lumper. This lack of genetic diversity created a hidden danger. In 1845, a microscopic fungus-like organism arrived from the Americas. Its scientific name was Phytophthora infestans. It caused a disease known as potato blight. The disease spread with terrifying speed. Healthy green plants turned black. The potatoes beneath the ground became a foul-smelling liquid. Entire fields were destroyed in only a few days, and the harvest failed for several years in a row. What followed was not only a natural disaster, it became a human-made catastrophe. Ireland was still producing other food, wheat, oats, cattle, and dairy products. But much of that food continued to be exported for profit. While ships carried food away from Irish ports, people starved only a short distance away. Around 1 million people died from starvation and disease. Another million were forced to leave Ireland. Many crossed the ocean on overcrowded vessels known as coffin ships. They travelled to the United States, Canada, Australia, and other parts of the world. The Great Famine permanently scarred Ireland. It also created an enormous Irish diaspora. Communities of Irish immigrants appeared across the globe, and the demographics of the modern world were changed forever. The potato survived the blight, and during the 20th century, it took on a completely new role: convenience. During the First and Second World Wars, governments needed cheap and efficient ways to feed enormous armies. Food scientists developed dehydrated potato products. They were lightweight. They could be stored for long periods, and they helped to feed millions of soldiers. In the Soviet Union, the potato became an essential state crop. It could survive harsh climates. It helped communities endure brutal winters, and it provided food for a rapidly growing industrial workforce. But in the United States, the potato was about to become a massive business. During the middle of the 20th century, A businessman named Ray Kroc became involved with a small restaurant called McDonald's. He understood that the key to a successful fast food empire was consistency. Customers expected the same experience every time. That included perfectly crisp and uniformly golden French fries. The potato became an industrial product. Factories began washing, cutting, freezing, and frying enormous quantities of potatoes. Every French fry had to look the same. Every potato chip needed the same shape and texture. Today, corporations such as Lay's, Pringles, and McDonald's use billions of pounds of potatoes every year. To achieve consistent results, the industry depends heavily on a small number of varieties. One of the most important is the russet Burbank. It produces the long and evenly shaped potatoes needed for French fries. But this dependence comes with a serious risk. Modern agriculture is once again relying on a limited genetic pool. It is similar to the danger Ireland faced before the Great Famine. Today, the potato is the fourth most important food crop in the world. Only corn, wheat, and rice are more widely produced. But the humble potato is facing new threats. Climate change is making many agricultural regions hotter and drier. New pests continue to appear. New strains of potato blight are constantly evolving. Modern commercial varieties often lack the genetic diversity needed to resist these threats. A disease capable of attacking a widely grown variety could spread across the world. The possibility of another major crop failure cannot be ignored. Scientists are now racing to protect the potato's future, and they are returning to the place where its story began. The Andes Mountains, thousands of ancient potato varieties still grow there. Some can survive extreme cold, others can tolerate drought. Some are naturally resistant to pests and disease. Scientists are crossing these ancient varieties with modern commercial potatoes. Their goal is to create stronger crops, potatoes that can survive higher temperatures, use less water, and resist new forms of disease. These new varieties could help protect the food supply of millions of people. But the potato's journey may not end on Earth. The potato is one of the most efficient food crops ever cultivated. It produces large amounts of food in a relatively small area. It can grow in difficult environments, and almost the entire plant's stored energy can be eaten. That makes the potato especially valuable for space exploration. NASA and the International Potato Center have tested potatoes in soil designed to simulate conditions on Mars. Scientists have also studied how potatoes could grow inside controlled space environments. When humanity begins building permanent settlements beyond Earth, the potato may be one of the first crops we plant. The next time you eat a French fry, a potato chip, or a warm baked potato, take a moment to look at it. You are not simply eating a cheap side dish. You are eating the result of 8,000 years of human knowledge. You are eating a crop that survived poison, war, famine, industrialization, and globalization. The potato helped feed civilizations. It helped build nations, and when humanity finally travels to other worlds, it may travel with us. It is ordinary, uneven, and usually covered in dirt. But behind that simple appearance is one of the greatest survival stories in human history. The humble potato quietly changed everything.